Hello and welcome to the premiere debate show on the intrawebs called Test Your Might. This is going to be episode 89. We are a video game debate show if you haven't heard. And we're going to be talking about a few things this week. One, a huge GTA 6 leak done by a hacker apparently. And also, we're going to have an awesome classic PC game versus debate later on. But first, let me introduce the panel. I've got one other person today. One other, my brother. The Shenaniman himself, Cicero Holmes, the Mafia Lord. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Justin. Say hi to your mother for me. You got to introduce yourself, man.
Oh, yeah. This is the Duck, if you didn't know. Thank you, Cicero. I totally just, that's my modesty. The Duck is here, going to be versing across the intraweb here against Cicero Holmes. Yeah, we're going to get it today. The way that this works when we only have two people is you get to let us know who won those debates. So make sure you leave a comment down below on the YouTube or on the podcast catcher of choice. Let us know what you thought and who won. Or if you had a different idea, go ahead. We're on everything. YouTube, of course, hit all the things. We're trying to get to that 100 just so we can get that custom link. But yeah, seeing a lot of feedback. Lots of people are viewing our stuff. More people than usual. So let's keep it up. Tell a friend.
There you go.
Let them know.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, the Rings of Power episode 3 review is out. That's the third episode of Rings of Power, and the fourth should be out Friday, which is maybe like 3 days from when you're listening to this or less. And yeah, that's really the only housekeeping today. We've got the question of the week. Getting to know a series, continuing, of course, not game related, but what is your favorite author of all time? Cicero, you go ahead.
Favorite author of all time has to be my man Timothy Zahn. He is responsible for kind of like the resurgence, or like, yeah, I guess I would call it the resurgence of the whole Star Wars in the late 90s, prior to the prequels. He created these 3 books that introduced the Star Wars universe to Grand Admiral Thrawn. They were Heir to the Empire, something else. They were really good. They were incredibly just really well done, super descriptive, very entertaining books. And they created a whole new subgenre in the Star Wars universe. And I want to believe that they were part of the reason that the prequels were made and that Disney wound up buying Star Wars. So thank you, Timothy Zahn. He's also written some other really, really good books. If you're a fan of Halo, I highly recommend the Cobra trilogy. Very, very, very good series of books by Timothy Zahn. Super good. I really like that dude.
I love how you brought video games into it, even though it wasn't a video game question. That's great. I like it.
Yeah.
For myself, a little bit less video game related. I don't believe so, and I would love to see it happen, but I don't think so. Definitely movie related. My favorite author, if you know me, is a horror book author, and that would be Stephen King. One of my childhood greats, and I shouldn't have been reading it as a child, but I was. And not a very good ending writer, but good storyteller. He definitely knows how to draw you in and immerse you into the worlds of Maine or wherever else you're at. Yeah, Stephen King. Look forward to seeing everything he ever makes. And when a new book comes out, I usually grab it. So, yeah, let's get into what have we been playing. I myself, not that much, honestly. I have delved into Dreamlight Valley a lot more. That's kind of been my go-to for my relaxation time. It is continuing to surprise me. A Animal Crossing like with IP that I love, and I would say much better gameplay than Animal Crossing. And I know that's going to cause some flack, but they do a lot of stuff that really streamlined the gameplay of this kind of simulation world. Do your daily tasks and help people out. which is good. And a lot of people are playing it as well. Apparently, it's got 1 million players within the first week or something like that. It's doing good. Over to
I
you,
got it.
Cicero. Yeah.
I did it. Um, um, yeah, so I actually haven't been playing anything new. If you've been listening for the last few weeks, then you kind of already know what I've been playing. A little MLB The Show. I've been playing a little bit of Madden 23, and I've been playing Fall Guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just I haven't really had a lot of time for gaming, so I haven't had time to really discover anything new, and really kind of sink my teeth into a new game. So those are the games that have been occupying my time when I've had time to game this week.
Yeah, I forgot to mention I still am on the grind of Rocksmith Plus.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
they came out with some new tracks. One of them being Superman, like the old Superman game song from Tony Hawk. You know it. I'm
right.
blanking on the name of the band, but uh, definitely
Brum,
good.
brum, 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 brum.
Yeah, it's good. They're releasing a lot of stuff very regularly and still streamlined gameplay. Looks great, and you're learning, so that's what matters.
All right.
Yeah, you got some more dubs on Fall Guys though.
Yes, I got a couple of dubs. There's a new mode now that's kind of like oh crap, I just forgot the name of the game where you're driving and you're playing soccer.
Rocket
Um
League.
Rocket League. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know why I forgot that. But yeah, there's so Fall Guys is having you play um kind of like Rocket League. You get two giant soccer balls, and you've got to put them in the goal.
Hmm.
And you start out with up to 32 players, and you got to go down to I think it's down to 3 squads. It's a whole tournament thing, and you
Okay.
gain points. So that's one of the new game modes. There's a new space game mode. So there's some cool stuff in Fall Guys.
Yeah, always improving, adding more stuff. That's what you can ask for from a service game,
Yeah,
right? Cough,
yeah.
cough, Halo. On to news. Uh, big story. GTA 6 gameplay footage leak. Almost 60 minutes of gameplay footage was leaked, apparently by a hacker, and it showed, well, actually almost 90 minutes of gameplay, to be honest.
Right.
A lot of it was very buggy, all kind of like running tests. It was all behind the catalog, not finished product at all. Did you get a chance to look at any of it, Cicero?
Very little. Like I kind of paid more attention to the scuttlebutt, and not really the footage, because I knew that the footage was gonna be super early and not representative of really anything
Hmm.
that the game is going to be when it finally comes out in 2031. But now it probably won't come out until 2032 thanks to this leaker. What about you, Justin? Did you see any of it? What did you think of it? What you did see.
Confirmed female protagonist.
Okay.
Part of the playthrough that I watched, which was okay. It looked good. It looked like GTA. Uh, some vibes of Payday in there, with robbing a Waffle House. It it looked like GTA in a new setting. Definitely buggy and testing everything. You saw lots of scripting on the screen most of the time. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of sad because we knew it was going to take a while and be a while before we played the actual finished product. But now, I believe you said that they scrapped a lot of that content because of this
Yeah,
leak.
well, I think proof that the leak was genuine is the fact that Rockstar has come out and said, basically, which makes sense, right?
Hmm.
That they've whatever you saw is now removed. So we're going to start from the drawing board. We're going to start from
Jeez.
ground zero and rebuild it, because yeah, and I understand that from Rockstar's perspective, right? They take forever with these games because every time they come out with one of these games that take years and years and years
Hmm.
to develop, and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop, they're innovating and pushing the entire industry forward
Yes.
with the things that they include in their games. And the last thing that they want is for some of that stuff to leak to not only to the public, but more importantly to their competitors, who can take some of those innovations and do something probably less grandiose,
Yeah.
but something that can be completed more quickly and just maybe added to a game that's already in development, right? And then by the time GTA 6 comes out in 2031, whatever that little piece of innovation was, it's now either obsolete or it doesn't feel as avant-garde because it was stolen from them and used in some lesser way in some other game
Yeah.
or several games.
It's interesting for sure that they came out and said that. Definitely proves legitimacy towards the leak itself. I know that if it was a hacker, that's shame on them, number one. And I don't think that Rockstar should take that very kindly. Because this is really Rockstar's big hit every 10 years, or every 15 years. This is the innovation game. This is Rockstar 5 on the Xbox 360, which blew us away. This is something that they really care about, and it's kind of like they need to hold it close to their chest. So I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of it, find out where it came from, and person will be persecuted or tried for it, for sure.
I mean, the business part of that, right? Like, however that information was disseminated to the public, the business part of that will get resolved, and that's going to be a lot less sexy than the leak itself and kind of the conversation surrounding the leak. But all of that stuff will get resolved from a corporate standpoint, because they're way too big, and they make way too much money, and this game, this IP is way too important for them not to get to the absolute bottom of it all and discover who, what, when, where, and why.
Right? Yeah. At the same time, you've got like you said, the scuttlebutt, scuttlebutt freaking out about it on Twitter and everywhere and saying it looks like garbage, it doesn't look good. This is pre-game footage. This is well before any polishing ever takes place. This is testing and bugging. You have script messages on the screen and bug script. It's not something that you're going to criticize for a finished product. That's for sure.
A cake looks like crap when you just crack the egg in there and it's just batter and egg in a bowl, right? Like, duh. I mean,
once you start mixing it turns into like brownie mix or cake mix, and you're like,
exactly.
Maybe.
Then you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what's going on here. But I like judging a, like, you get a car and there's no doors or anything, there's no shell on it, it's just seats and a wheel and wheels and a motor, and you're like, I don't know if I like the look of that car, right? Yeah, no duh.
I didn't buy a dune buggy,
Right, that's the equivalent of what we saw. What we got to see was a car with a steering wheel and seats and a motor, and someone was driving it around, but there were no doors, there was no roof, no quarter panels, no anything. There was no frame, no anything.
No stereo.
Right, nothing. And you're like, oh, that car looks like crap.
What's funny though?
I've seen better looking cars.
If we take this back to like Xbox or Xbox 360 days, PS1, PS2 days, and we saw that footage, we'd be like, this looks like heaven, right? We'd be drooling over it by what it looks like. But it's just the standards now and the practice. It's just that bar's been raised so much by Rockstar.
That's what it is.
I think we tackled that one though.
If by the same token, if you took a I don't know, a Geo Metro, I don't know, like a Hyundai Accent, whatever the bummiest car of today is, and you gave it to, Henry Ford in 1918.
Carriage and buggy.
He'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
it can travel 100 miles. Whoa.
Yeah, but it's not electric. Can you imagine?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah, on to the next story. That's funny. Sony PSVR games won't be backwards compatible with PSVR 2. Do you have a PSVR? Because I do.
Yeah. All right. So PSVR games won't be on PSVR 2.
Yeah,
Huh.
they won't be backwards compatible with the new system. So I have a catalog of like maybe 10 or 15 games at the most.
Okay.
Uh,
On your PSVR.
on my original PSVR. Yeah, not the PSVR 2. Don't have that yet.
Right.
And I understand, not being able to technically, like from a technical standpoint, play those on a new system. Sure, I understand that. But it's not helping Sony at all by saying that. By just, hey, yo, we're going to raise the price of the system. Hey, this is probably going to be more expensive. Hey, you're going to have to buy a brand new VR headset because those other games, you can't bring those with on this trip that you're going to take. I don't know. It's weird. It's a hard pill to swallow because when you spend that much money, you want to be able to look at Xbox and play anywhere. You want to be able to bring that catalog with. Obviously, you bought it on the last gen console. It hasn't been like, it's not like PlayStation 1 games coming over, which they are still trying to do. It's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow. What do you think, Cicero?
This is inexcusable to me. The PSVR games or PSVR 2 won't have backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's really inexcusable, right? Because we've already, besides the fact that besides there are lots of reasons that this makes no sense. But the first of which is that Sony has already established a precedent in this console generation by allowing PS4 games to be playable on your PS5, right? So you've already told me that I can bring my peripherals from the PS4 to the PS5. I can use my DualShock controller. I can do all of those things. I can play these games from the previous generation. But now you're going to tell me I spent all this money on this niche device that was proprietary and niche, and now you're going to make a new proprietary niche device, but I can't play. That's the same thing, just more advanced, but I'm not going to be able to play those games on the new device. Mm-hmm. Right. So I still have to hold on to this old device if I still really enjoy those particular games. That doesn't make a lot of sense. One that, for that reason. Another reason that it doesn't make a lot of sense is most of the games that are available on the PSVR are games that exist on other platforms that have control setups that are very similar to what the PSVR 2 is going to be. So why can't Sony figure out a way to either get the code or the mapping configurations, whatever it is, however it is that they coded those games for the PSVR, figure out how they were coded for other VR systems and redo those games, whatever it takes in order to get that stuff to work on the PSVR 2, or just add another option in there for PSVR 2, because those games, many of those games, the Super Hots, the Star Trek Bridge Crew, and all, those types of games, they were only mapped to the PSVR. They weren't purpose built to work with the PSVR and the Move controllers and all that other stuff. But even games that were, matter of fact, specifically games that were purpose built for the PSVR and for the Move controllers, should be games that Sony should have an interest in updating and allowing you to play on PSVR 2. Because again, this is so the technology from the PSVR is 2 generations old, because it was, that particular piece of hardware was initially sold with the PS3, and carried over onto the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So now on the PS5, you should allow all of that stuff to come over and have those experiences, so people can appreciate the differences between the PSVR and the PSVR 2 and brand new experiences. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. It's inexcusable.
Yeah, I understand not wanting to use the Move controllers, but the new controllers track your movement of your hands much better than the Move controllers did.
Right.
So why wouldn't you just put the same footage of the game up there on the headset and allow the new controllers to use the movement? It's boggling, and it definitely, VR is still a niche for a lot of people, and this is only going to hinder that for PlayStation in particular.
Right. And the other, really the other thing about this is Sony hasn't really come out and said why it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just said quote, PSVR games are not compatible with PSVR 2 because PSVR 2 is designed to deliver a truly next generation VR experience.
Yep.
But isn't the PlayStation 5 also designed to give a truly next generation experience?
But you're bringing PS4 games over, right?
Right, but but I can play PS4 games on there. Right?
It makes zero sense, man.
If, yes, okay, maybe the PSVR's resolution isn't going to be, well, definitely isn't going to be as good as the resolution on the PSVR 2, but we figured out how to make resolution work, right? We figured out how to make motion blur and all of those other things work. They worked on the PSVR. Why can't they work on the PSVR 2? Why can't you make those things? Why can't you put in the time to make those things better for the new piece of hardware that you're coming out and expecting me to spend $300-$400, whatever it is, when it comes out, just like you expected me to spend a comparable amount of money on the original PSVR? Like, this is the type of stuff, right? And I don't play in the fanboy console war games. I don't, I am Switzerland when it comes to that kind of stuff, but objectively, things that annoy me about Sony are things like this, right? First off, they make incredibly enticing trailers for games and sizzle reels that they look spectacular, and they give you no dates. They just put, maybe a year you'll get out of many of the games that they release. And peripherals, they do the exact same thing. PSVR 2 is another one of those peripherals where they're doing the exact same thing, where it's coming out and it's going to be great and it's going to do all this stuff. It's going to fold your laundry and everything is going to be beautiful. Like, world peace will be solved when you purchase a PSVR 2. When it finally releases, whenever that is. And we're going to make you spend an obscene amount of money on this relative to the price of the console on which you also need to have in order for you to use this thing. But I am not going to reward you for your loyalty, because this is a thing that Sony does. I'm not going to reward you for your loyalty for going out and spending this extra money on this device and doing all the stuff. You probably have about our previous catalog of games in this space, but you can't play them. Yeah,
you're gatekeeped. Nope.
Right. You can't play them. This, it drives me insane. The arrogance of an organization where they come out and they don't even say really definitively why they can't. They just say they won't. And they expect the gamers to just continue to put up with it. right? And because we do, right? Those people that want a PSVR are going to still go out and buy a PSVR, and they're going to be very excited about it, and go ahead and be excited about it, right? It's a new piece of tech. They got all this stuff, but the games that they showed at their showcase were games that I have on my Oculus, now MetaQuest 2.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And have played for years with the same control scheme in the same resolution. You're not doing anything innovative.
Yeah.
And in fact, the games that you're not going to let me play on the PSVR 2, I also have on my MetaQuest that are on the PSVR. So, like, tell me why you can't do this. Don't tell me that you won't. Because there's no excuse for you to refuse to do it. Tell me why it's not possible. Because if it is possible, you should be doing it. No excuse, Sony. Rant over.
Well, I hope you bring the same curiosity into our namesake of the show. That was heated, and that's from a person that owns a PS5. And he's heated about it. I currently do not, and I currently want to get one. So, and I wanted to get the PSVR too, but another little straw that broke the camel's back here. Test your might. The video game debate show, namesake here. Cicero Holmes against Justin the Duck. The Shenanimen here to stay, and it's your job. Remember to pick the winner. Let us know below who won each debate.
Lasagna.
Yep, Mama's lasagna. On to the first question here tonight. According to sources, with the new Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers, you, and I quote, can't even scratch some bosses until you unlock Super Sonic. So, what is the hardest game to get the hang of when you first boot that thing up? Cicero, go ahead. I'll let you decide what you want to do first.
So, you know what? I think I'm going to go first.
Okay.
So this question is great because I know that 95% of the people that are listening to this right now have a certain type of game in their brain for what the right answer should be. In fact, they probably have a specific studio in mind, and that would be if you choose any of the games from that studio, you've got the right answer. And you're right. You know what? The game would be any UFC game.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, in fact, I'll go with the latest UFC 4.
All right, UFC 4. Go ahead. Tell the fans what makes it so hard at the beginning. Yeah.
So the game is a fighting game, right? And a sports fighting game as opposed to a Street Fighter fighting game. And in so doing, it is a simulation of an actual sport. And it was built off of basically they're built off the remnants of EA Vancouver. And they took the Fight Night engine and created this UFC game. Well, Fight Night is great because you're boxing, so you're just using your hands, and the controls were great because it really allowed you. They were super intuitive in terms of boxing with your left and your right, and ducking and dodging and doing that kind of stuff. Well, now you're doing all of those things with your hands, but you're also doing those same things with your feet. And then you get on the ground and you've got like chokeholds and different positions that you can move into, and all of these different button combinations that will allow you to do different moves that work strategically at very specific moments. And you have to know what those moves are, when the right time to use them is. To really maximize everything that's going on within the game. And immediately, it's impossible. Impossible.
All right, I like it. Uh, Now, for myself, I don't know if you've played this, Cicero, but
Right?
I'm about to squad up here. Uh,
Okay.
and if you get that reference, that would be the developer squad. And I'm talking about Kerbal Space Program. This game is terrible. Well, it's good after a long, long time. But at first, when you get in that game, this is a space flight simulation with physics-based engine game where you play as a Kerbal, which are kind of humanoid aliens, building a space, you know, a space jet, go into space. But you need to do math in this game because with the physics engine, if you have the wrong calculations, you're not going to space. You're going big bada boom. You're not making it very far. So when you pick this up and you boot it up and you think, oh, I want to put a wing here. Oh, I want to put an engine here. Oh, there's the cockpit. You're not taking into effect wind resistance. You're not taking into effect how much fuel and how much pressure is inside that combustion engine. You are gonna blow up. So to pick it up out the gate, this is like you're training to be a NASA flight astronaut. Like you need to know stuff in order to play this game good. And they are making a second one. It's coming out 2023, which amazes me. This game is on almost every single system you would ever want to play it on or not play it on. It looks fun, but once you get in there, it's not just pressing buttons like UFC. You could at least throw a few punches in my mind in UFC and hit a few bodies. But in this one, if you press a few buttons, you ain't going very far. You need to do some research and do some math and find out the trigonometry, all the charts and all the angles in order to get this to go properly. Kerbal Space Program. Let's fly into the ground. Go ahead, Cicero. Why is UFC worse than that or harder than that?
Well, because it doesn't seem like it should be, right? Kerbal Space Program, great choice, because the game is impossibly hard. But that's my expectation, right? Like, oh, I'm trying to go to space. That's impossible. People are scientists, right? That's who goes to space, right? The scientists design that stuff. And now you're asking me to be a scientist. I can't tie my shoes. So yeah, like duh, I'm gonna blow up, of course. I'm expecting to blow up. That's gonna be part of the fun, is how spectacularly can I blow up? But UFC, it's a fighting game, right? Like I should be able to go in and yeah, punch somebody in the face. I know how to punch. I know how to push buttons and make the arms go like this and hit the face. I can wax on and wax off, and you think that that'll be enough, and it's not. It's not enough. You will lose. You will tap. You will get knocked out. These things will happen, right? And then you'll get locked up in a position, and you're like, well, what do I do? How do I get out? How did I get in this in the first place? That's not expected. Kerbal Space Program, it is.
So just why?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I disagree. Kerbal Space Program doesn't have simulation, and it's not a sports game. You're not expecting, a fighter here. You're expecting a space game, sure, but something that obviously has friendly characters on the cover makes you think that it's going to be a kind of easygoing, let's go to space and explore game, like most space games are, and then it hits you like a ton of bricks. It's not something that is marketed as a learning tool. It's marketing. It doesn't even have the word simulation on it until you read the back in fine print. If you're a kid and you see the cover of this box art, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna go to space. I'm gonna have some fun." And you boot it up and it's a math problem. That's a turn of a page right there. You weren't expecting that from these cute little alienoid human creatures on the cover. You think, oh yeah, I know. Like you said, I know how to throw a few punches. Sure, I know how to make a paper plane, but it's not gonna do it when you have to have physics and math involved in a game that's supposed to be chill. This is something that could be a learning tool for NASA because of how difficult it is. it like I said, it hits you like a ton of bricks. The learning curve is so steep that most people give up because it just isn't fun at that point. Sure, there are the fans that love this game, and there are the scientists that love this game, and the mathematicians that love this game. But for the average player, when you boot up a space game or a space program game, you think it's going to be fun, learning experience, a little bit of missed opportunity here and there of crashing. But for the most part, you think it's going to be a fun experience, not an entire game based around math and doing it correctly to standards of actual space travel. I don't think that UFC can really fight against that. No pun intended. I feel like UFC, even if you don't know the buttons, and even if you don't know how to play, or you've never played a UFC game, going in that that's going to be a punching, kicking game. And if you
Right.
push enough buttons, you can beat someone or hit someone. You're not just going to be falling over and falling on the ground and keeling, breaking ankles by yourself in the corner. You're going to be taking a few jabs, but you'll still be able to throw a few punches back, in my opinion, even with random button pressing. And that's where Kerbal, I think, dominates or trumps you, because with a few random button presses, you ain't going nowhere in my game. You will be on the ground keeling and breaking your ankles.
So, Justin, you've kind of made my point for me, and I appreciate that. I really do. In being honest,
Yeah.
you have aided me, because you said that Kerbal Space Program is so difficult that most people don't even learn how to play the game because it's not fun, right? It's just it's so like these are games, and sometimes games are really difficult, right? And sometimes games aren't fun, but games should be fun, right? They should entice you to want to come back to beat the challenge of whatever that game is.
Mm-hmm.
And if a game is so difficult that most of the people are like, no, I can't do it, it is too hard, then that game is not winning. UFC, on the other hand, gives you the space to learn and to grow. There is nothing better than going in and saying, this was difficult. I remember when this was hard, and now I've got it. I understand how this game works. It's not just a bunch of random controls that somebody tossed together. This all makes sense. And once it unlocks, man, I've got it. I'm good now. And that feeling is incredible. And that's the feeling you want to chase. And you can't get that in Kerbal Space Program, but you can get that in UFC 4.
All right. Okay. I get you. Just to throw a little jab before we move on, mine is getting a sequel. So that means it is something that people will play through and try and finesse.
Okay.
UFC, unfortunately, is not. Unfortunately, I'm disappointed.
What do you mean? No, there's plenty of them. They come out like every 2 years.
I don't see anything in the EA Sports catalog for future games.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fourth one just came out.
In 2020.
Yeah, sure.
2 years later. Okay. All right. Moving on. On to the next one, Cicero. Disney Dreamlight Valley continues to pull players and they are proving to have a lot of content in the roadmap for the next year. So it is our jobs to pick an unannounced Disney Pixar movie and put it on the next for the roadmap. Don't forget the location and character from that property. You went first in the last one. Do you want to choose again? I don't care. You can keep going.
No, man, you choose.
All right. I'll switch it off then. I'll go first.
Okay.
For this one, I went with A Bug's Life. A classic movie I grew up with, which tripled in value in the box office, which means nothing to this argument. But 1998 held a place in my heart for A Bug's Life. The little things matter too. It's not always about the big characters. It's about what's beneath your feet or beneath your backyard. Obviously, the lead character that you're going to be able to invite back to Dreamlight Valley would be Flick, which is the main bug in this movie. and he would have missions based around his enemy, which is a grasshopper uh, named Hopper. So, it would be very easy for them to implicate this realm, which you would realms are like a portal doorway you go through, and then you enter their dreams. It's like
Mm-hmm.
streams or whatever, and you're able to bring him back into your valley, Dreamlight Valley. So it's very easy to implicate a giant tree that you are shrunk down into, and you have to deal with his problems and his life uh, in his world, which is underground or on the base of ground, walking across it as an ant. Very easy to implicate, and would hold a unique viewpoint and a unique gameplay element that they've dabbled in, but not really thrown their feet into.
Okay. Well, I see your flick. That's a good one, Bug's Life. Um, but yeah, so my choice, I really can't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And that's Bruno from Encanto. So, um, this would be. So, what's cool about this is we're not going to use Mirabelle, which lead is the lead protagonist from Encanto. We're actually going to use Bruno, and it'll kind of be a prequel. So we'll be in the house, um, and we'll be in the walls with Bruno, discovering all sorts of different things
We don't talk
as
about Bruno.
as he is kind of running around in the walls, and we'll uh learn about everyone in the house and all the different worlds in that house, which is awesome because the house itself can be a portal, and then within the house there are several other portals.
All right. So Bruno is the character that you would bring back to Dreamlight Valley. Uh,
Correct. Don't talk
I
about it.
I see it working with that. I see obviously Ratatouille is already in the game, and his affinity with rats is bar none. So
Right.
that would work out great for character balance and character relationships, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see like I don't see the house working like that though. I don't see the house working as a portal center or a train station per se. I think his ability to foresee the future is also something that would be kind of overlooked. There's not much you can really do with that because the action is really happening throughout the game as you play. The darkness and the forgetting is what it's called. The forgetting is really hitting the characters as it happens. So foreseeing the future might be a down step for me. I think the direct nature of Flick and Hopper fighting, or Flick and Hopper dealing with their problems, is more direct. So I think it's something that we could really touch on and also see a little bit of a side story. A Bug's Life didn't get a sequel,
Right.
so I don't think Bruno will either. We don't talk about that, but
Right.
I feel like I feel like Flick and the shrinking, and we're getting Grounded soon, which blew up, and it's going to blow up even more once it's full release. I feel like this shrinking down the Honey I Shrunk the Kids element into another world could work well uh, for Dreamlight Valley. I think it would. And then Hopper, of course, being the enemy of that world, could also work. You've got the circus bugs, of course, in that world that were always funny. I'm a beautiful butterfly. Uh, you know, I don't know. I think Flick is a better choice. I think that shrinking down into a tree and dealing with his problems and then bringing him back to Dreamlight Valley would be very interesting and helpful. Uh, and it would allow a new form of exploration. Not only would you have your normal self walking around as full size in Dreamlight Valley, but then you would have this ability to shrink and go in hidden corridors that were there the whole time that we just didn't know about. And Disney's very keen to do that kind of stuff. I think the under your nose aspect could change the game. because you'd be able to find stuff that was literally under your nose the entire time.
Yeah, well, and you know, and that's cool. I got to give it to you. That's cool. But here's another thing that is not necessarily under your nose, but staring you right in the face, and those are paintings.
Mm-hmm.
There are paintings everywhere in Dreamville. So, or Dream Valley, right? In the valley,
Mm-hmm.
there are paintings. And in all of those paintings is a world that Bruno can explore. Because we know that Bruno, you know, he travels in between the walls. He's in the paintings. He's doing all that stuff. We can use that as a way to open up new worlds and new adventures, and new narrative opportunities. So, you know, much in the same way that you're talking about shrinking things down and being smaller, you can also dive into these worlds. Think about this. I don't know if you've ever seen Mary Poppins, but that's something that they used to great effect in that movie. So imagine Bruno hanging out with Mary Poppins, going on a steeplechase ride with Mary Poppins. That's something that is entirely possible.
As much as I would like to see Mary Poppins brought in, a live action character brought into Dreamlight Valley, which she's one of my favorites as well. So tugging at my strings here. But I think they're really going to stick with the animation of Pixar and Disney. I don't think they're going to venture off into the live action at all. I don't know. You let us know, fans, who won that one. That was interesting. On to the third debate. Cicero, I'll let you choose first on this one.
All right.
Sims 4, the base game, is going free to play. If you didn't know, get ready. If you don't own it, go play some Sims 4. It's a good time. We're going to have a classic PC versus match. So these are games that came out on the PC. I believe it was 99 and 2001. So they're very old, right. Aging us a little bit. But which is better and why? Then the two choices are Roller Coaster Tycoon and The Sims. And these are the original base games, no DLC or extra content. Cicero, which would you like?
I'm going to go first. I'm going to choose Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay. And we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Lead it off, man.
All right, so part of the reason that I'm going to choose Roller Coaster Tycoon is because it was a fully functioning game from the start, right? And like it did. So if you got Roller Coaster Tycoon and you never got anything else with Roller Coaster Tycoon to deal with, you would have a fulfilling game. I can't say the same about The Sims.
All right. Roller Coaster Tycoon is phenomenal.
Sure.
Yeah, you mic dropped already. Chris Sawyer made Roller Coaster Tycoon, and he did it in a very unique way. Very few people have made games that way, which I can't even remember the way because it was so difficult to code it that way. And I've played many amusement parks in that game. The Sims, on the other hand, Maxis, and was one of the first big EA titles that I really touched base on as a kid. I had all the DLCs, but we're only talking about the originals, but they made a lot of them. This was a life sim game, literally. You would create a guy, buy a house, build the house if you wanted to, furnish the house, design houses if you really wanted to. That was one of my favorite things to do. Go on dates with your neighbors, have parties, get a job, go to work, die, have babies, whatever you wanted to do. It's a life sim. It was unique. It was something that was, we had SimCity. Yeah, we had Roller Coaster Tycoon. But this was personal. You were able to create a second life before Second Life. This was something that you were able to venture and just have fun and worry about your meters half the time. Are you going to the bathroom? Did you eat? Do you need social? Do you need to talk with friends? These were all things that you would think about. How can I have fun? Watch some TV. I don't like this show. Change the TV. Uh, Crazy amounts of detail, and that's not even touching base on the house building aspect. Uh, Interior design, exterior design, building the lot, and also building everything inside of it. Uh, AutoCAD is a thing, but it's very difficult to use unless you know how. This was something that was very approachable for people that wanted to do some landscaping or design a home. Sure, it was, two directions. You couldn't go, you know, full diagonals,
Right.
but it was something, and it was something that you could just sit there with endless money and design homes if you really wanted to. You didn't even have to have a sim. Roller Coaster Tycoon was good for amusement parks. It was good for giving you a kind of look into how it would be to run an amusement park, and hope you don't have to use any coupons to get people in. Uh,
Right.
you would have to hire people to clean the park. You'd have to hire people to mow the grass, and I'm not even going to go into how we can destroy people in either of these games because we all did it. Uh,
Yep.
you know, Ladders over here and fireworks and picking them up and putting them in water on the other hand, or shuttle launching. Yeah, things were happening. Uh, they're both games. I think mine did a little bit more for the community.
So, you know what? I'll even agree that yours did more for the community in terms of the more important game in quotes for gaming at large. The Sims is a much more important game, a game that definitely, as a franchise, it was a more important franchise. It has done more for the gaming community than Roller Coaster Tycoon. However, and all of the things that you said about The Sims as a real life simulator are mostly accurate, right? And here's the thing that kept me from choosing this, because obviously I had the choice of picking The Sims or Roller Coaster Tycoon, and chose Roller Coaster Tycoon, even though I'm agreeing with all of your statements about The Sims mostly.
Mm-hmm.
The Sims is a real life simulator in all of the best ways, that original game, until it is not. So you can design your own house, and that is great, and you can go to work and you can find a job, and you make friends with your neighbors, and you can build relationships, and you got to go to the bathroom, and you learn how to cook, and you do all that stuff, and you can get married, and you can have kids, or you can have a baby, and then your life is over, because that baby never grows up, and you just have a baby forever. Everything else changes, but that baby remains a baby, and all you're done, and that baby is helpless, and all you've got now is, oh, no, I take that back. That baby becomes goes from a toddler to a little kid, and never grows up beyond a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
and is helpless. It can't use the stove. All it does from that point on is just be a drag on you. It never grows up to be a fully functioning adult and go off and do its own thing. And that really drags the game down. Whereas Roller Coaster Tycoon is exactly, you get to build an amusement park with more or less awesome roller coasters and all sorts of other things in there. You got attractions, you get to build those roller coasters. You can look at all the different things that are there, and all the, and just make the best theme park that you possibly can. And nothing stops you. There's nothing that really takes you out of the game to keep you from doing that task of making the best theme park that you possibly can, or the most haunted theme park that you possibly can. All of those things are absolutely possible in Roller Coaster Tycoon, where in The Sims, that base game, there was stuff that really took you out of the experience.
So I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Okay.
You know, babies, sure, toddlers, okay, kids, sure. Something that you don't have to choose to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you can choose to do if you're into the romance in the game. You
Right.
don't have to, but you can.
Right. Right.
Roller Coaster Tycoon, on the other hand, your job is to maintain this park and continue to bring more rides and more guests and sell more money and eventually pay back the loan that you had originally and make this
Right.
make this park profitable.
Right.
As Sims allows you to freely create what you want and have fun with it at no expense. Roller Coaster Tycoon, at the other hand, on the other hand, when you create a roller coaster and you think, I'm gonna make something awesome, I'm gonna make this cool roller coaster. Everyone's done it. Go across the whole map with the upward angles and then down, and you're like, these people are gonna love this. And then you're gonna make twists and corkscrews, and then that roller coaster gets 0 rating and insanely large puke rating.
Right.
And it doesn't sell, and it brings your
Right.
business down. So that freedom aspect of let's make something cool is taken out. You need to really have that simulation aspect down pat, because if you make something that's just a tad bit too crazy, they won't like it, and it's going to be a waste of
Yeah.
your money. So I think
Yeah.
that you don't have that freedom. That drags you down. That pulls you out. That freedom to
That's
just create and have fun is
but
gone.
that is it's not about the freedom to create and have fun. It's the task of building the best theme park. And sometimes that means that you don't make the most epically large roller coaster, you make the most fun roller coaster. And every now and then you try, and you don't always knock them out of the park. And that's a thing that you have to discover in that game. But like you said, yeah, you could choose not to have kids in The Sims, but that's like stopping you from the real life simulation part of this real life simulator. Is like, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to have a kid because if I have a kid, it ruins the fun, right? It starts ruining my fun. And not to say, that's not real. It changes your fun when you really have kids, but eventually your kids grow up, and that's part of life, but not in The Sims.
Oh. I distinctly remember downloading a someone's map of a real life place that we know and love. That's just north of a few of us. Six Flags Great America in
Not
Roller
north of
Coaster
me.
Tycoon.
It's just east of me.
Well, it's there, and it's a
Right.
very profitable place. It's been around for a long time here in Gurnee. Now, in the game, this park fails. It does not make money because it is too extreme on most of the rides, and it just doesn't have the flow of traffic that in the real park it works. But if you want to nail that simulation, why doesn't it work? If you make your own map and base it off of a real place that is profitable and it fails, doesn't that kind of ruin the experience for you?
Well, it does if it failed for the same reasons that Six Flags is a quote unquote success. Now, the CEO of Six Flags just came out and said, hey, this Great America thing isn't really working out because there's just teenagers running around not spending any money. So maybe it's
So
not
it's
as
down to the
successful as
teenagers
we
in both games, huh?
Yes, it is down to the teenagers in both games. Well, it's down to the teenagers in one game and down to the teenagers in real life. So, so like you've got to make the flow better. And sometimes things don't work in simulations that do work in real life. And like that is the beauty of real life, is sometimes you can't even in the simulations explain why this works.
All right.
It works, but it shouldn't. just like this show. Somehow it works, but it shouldn't.
Yeah. We should all be in the ladder or in the pools without ladders right now.
That's right.
That's our show for Test Your Might. Onto the leaderboard. Remember, let us know who you thought won. Down in the comments or down in the review section on Apple Pods or Spotify. Let us know. But the leaderboard, this is a fun one. Rolling off of the hardest game to get the hang of. What is the top 5? Let's do the top 4 most difficult games to beat. Now, this is to complete. So this isn't to get the hang of and then get better at. This is total completion. What is the most difficult games? Cicero, you go ahead with your 3.
All right. I'm going to say classic Battletoads.
That is the 1991 Battletoads, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
That is correct. I am going to say you know what? I'm going to go with a more recent game, Cuphead.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the most difficult, but it was super effing hard. And let's see. I'm gonna dive back into the crates, and I'm gonna say the original Pitfall.
Ooh. Like old school, like
the old school
Atari?
Yeah. Atari Pitfall.
All right.
Atari 2600.
I was also going to say Battletoads. I'm glad you put it on there.
All right.
I'm going to go with Ghosts and Goblins. The classic.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah, that is 1985. Difficult games were older ones. Now they're all kind of like easy for everyone. Or at least the difficulty level has brought it down. Let's see. You took that one. I have the 2004 Ninja Gaiden. Or Gaiden.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something that very few that I know finished. Anyway. Whoa. The future is coming back to Ninja Gaiden. And then I think I'm going to go with, it's hard to pick from these two, but I think I'm going to go with Contra.
Okay.
Because without a second player.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Without single player. Yeah.
And without using the 30 lives.
Yes. That's where it comes in. Like, the cheat codes could change all of these games. I know Game Genie was a thing.
Right.
Game Shark was a thing for most of these as well. All right, your must-have, Cicero.
I'm gonna go Pitfall.
Okay. And I will go with Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
So we're gonna pick 2 more.
Battletoads, Ghosts and Goblins.
I am against Cuphead, by the way, because it is beatable. It's one of those hard to play at first, get to know.
Sure.
And then it's okay. Battletoads, that jet ski level.
Yeah.
That just puts it up there immediately, I think, in my opinion. So, all right, Battletoads is up there. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And then Ghosts and Goblins or Contra?
I'm going Ghosts and Goblins. Contra.
Ghosts and Goblins.
Contra was,
like, you get in your undies real quick in that game.
Absolutely.
Like, even in the new one, like, it's still they maintained that difficulty.
I've been playing that game for almost 30 years, and
still haven't beaten it.
No. I haven't come close.
Oh,
I mean, not even close.
Yeah.
To beating that game.
All right.
Like, it's it's like getting to the second stage is an accomplishment.
I was thinking of putting Superman 64 on there, but it is beatable. It's just broken.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's just a bad game. Uh,
Right.
but we don't talk about Bruno. Uh,
Right.
so our leaderboard for the top 4 most difficult games of all time to beat is Pitfall from the Atari, Ninja Gaiden from the 2004 game, Battletoads, the original 1991, and Ghosts and Goblins, the original 1985. And that's our show here over at Testermite, episode 89. The Shenana Men bring it to you again. Remember, down below, let us know who you thought won. If you say Cicero,
Yeah.
I'll just comment back and say no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk about
fine.
Bruno.
That's right.
But yeah, so as for Cicero and Justin, the duck, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Bye. Bye.
Dude, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, he's watching the pizza guy. You made him watch.
Yeah.
You made him watch.
Yes.
Oh, I got one too, so it'll
And then so I made him watch
uh-huh.
the pizza guy leave,
Okay.
right? And he just sat there and he watched the pizza guy leave. Then I took the phone out and he realized that was the end for him. Like once he saw the pizza guy leave, then he died. He died in that room, and then the urn came, and that's when I opened the room back up for his mom came into the room and she just started crying over the urn. So she just come in there every day. Like she wasn't able to get in there for days. And then
Wait, did the mom eat the pizza that got delivered?
no, because so in that game,
Yeah.
if you order a pizza, you gotta
have to
go
get the door?
You have to go to the door and get the pizza that you ordered.
So that pizza
So-
delivery guy didn't even know what was going on. He just thought he got prank called.
Yes. So he rang the bell and nobody came to the door. And he was like, oh well. And he like left. And the kid's staring in the window looking at the pizza guy as the pizza guy drives away.
That's diabolical, man. He's just watching his own demise. So, when I played the game, I also had a child, and started going downhill, and DCFS shows up. I don't know if you knew this in the original game, but DCFS can show up, and they just start taking crap out of your house.
Yeah,
and they just start taking all your stuff, and I'm like screaming at the computer, like, I didn't want this. Now I'm losing my TV and all my stuff. And then I started a new game.
There you go. Oh man.
And cut.
Oh, that's great. That's great.